Hello, CQ. CQ 75 meter AM phone. This is W3 MMR Whiskey 3 Mike Romeo. W3 MMR Chester, Pennsylvania. Calling CQ. Oh, hold on a second here.
So anyway, he bought the last one, and I don't know how he made out, but he's only give me a call if he needs a handle offloading it. I know there's a few loads around the area here. You can contact them and see if he can get any help there. But he's got a snowball, but he couldn't get it started. I guess he said it was the piston might have locked up. Just sitting there. Anyway. Yeah. I had everything. Just do all the preps. In there, Chris, and I could just about hear him, so you might want to see if you could pick him up and see who that was there. So I'll get it back to you, Chris. AJ1G with N1S and G, possibly others.
W3 MMR.
Yeah, good morning, Perry. W3 MMR and N1SNG AJ1G. I think the snow might be ending down by you guys looking at the radar map, unless I'm just running out of radar down your way. But yeah, it's going pretty good here now, Glenn. The ground is starting to whiten up and very fine. I think it's going to be a kind of a powdery snow. I'm hoping it is. Maybe if I'm lucky, I'll be able to take my leaf blower off the cars. That's always a lot more fun than, slogging all the snow off the construction or anything like that. Yeah, that's too bad about that, Aaron. I have an Aaron Compact 24. I've had it quite a few years here now. And, gee, it sounds like something in the blower section's hanging up. If it was in the impeller section, you got the shear pins on the impeller that would go. And on the Compact 24, that's the one thing I don't like about it. The shear pins are small. They're like 1/4 inch. They're not like the 3/16 or 3/16 or bigger on the larger snow blowers. They're definitely on the light side. And I've broken a bunch over the years. I have actually built up a good supply of spares because the thing does tend to, it's good in a way that they fail easily, but it is kind of annoying, especially if you don't notice it right away. And what's left of the shear pin inside the shaft gets polished, and then it's tough to find them, and they peen over, and it's tough to find, the exact location on the shaft to drive it out. You usually have to take a punch and drive what's left out because it does get peened over. Yeah, that's too bad about what happened to the guys there. Yeah, they have a bigger version. They have an upgraded 24-inch one now with bigger tires and bigger shear pins. Why ever gives out? I doubt it will. That thing gets, so little use. I think last year, I maybe had an hour or two runtime of actual snow on it. But it's all set up, ready to go right at the front door of the garage. So I'm sure we'll be running that today if we're going to get up to 8 inches. And I have to send a picture of whatever we get. My across-the-street neighbors, they just left for Florida 2 days ago. I think they got through, they didn't leave until after the mess in Virginia subsided, as far as I know, and I think they take 81 down also. Anyway, let's turn it down to Perry. And, KM4XG, I thought I might have heard him in there. He might be dropping by to say hello as well, because I gave him a heads up that we'll probably be down here this morning. W3 MMR and N1SNG, AJ1G on the Dixie 100.
Yeah, there's Jim. Jim, you're way down there, man. I hear you in there, but you're down at the noise. Well, you're above the noise, but you're down there. Hey, Jim, good morning. I'll get it down to you. Let's see if the boys up north can hear you. Yeah, snow here, man. Probably 3 or 4 inches, I guess. Probably right around what they thought we were going to get, 4 to 6. Or 3 to 5, I think. They're 3 to 6 or whatever. But probably another 45 minutes to an hour of it. They used to move quick, man. It was a quick moving storm like they said it was going to be. Then you guys up in Connecticut are going to get, Rhode Island are going to get some snow up there, I saw. So, yeah, man, got the snow blowers ready, I see. Yeah, no snow blowing here, I don't think. I think we're going to get about 4 or 5 inches. Everything's covered, grass. Can't see any grass. The cars, the street, the sidewalks, everything's covered up, so. It's what I've been wanting, man. I love the snow. I've been wanting it all year, and I'm sure my dad's getting hammered across the bridge again because I think they got the worst of it again of us. So just the way the cookie crumbles, man. But he would probably get said another 45 minutes of it. But I'm looking at the radar now. Yeah, it's a quick mover right up the coast, and I guess it's wherever the banding sets up. Yeah, I'm looking at Rhode Island right now. I guess using the Boston radar, and yeah, man. Yep, little ways to go here, but I'm glad we got the snow on the SDR this morning. DX100 sounds good. Chris, Glenn, good morning to you. Yeah, I'm up early. I woke up to use the bathroom, and I looked out the window, and it was snowing, so I felt like a little kid. I was like, man, I gotta get up. I don't want to get up and then the snow be stopped, so I figured I'd get to getting here. I'll send it down to you, Jim, and Jim, you'll send it up to Glenn, N1SNG. KM4XG in the group. W3MMR.
Yeah, W3MMR in the group, KM4XG. Yeah, I had the same feeling when I got up and I saw the snow. We got about an inch overnight, maybe 2, and that adds to the 5 inches we got back on Sunday. So that's the story here. Signals aren't great this morning. I'm hearing you pretty well, Barry. And Glenn, hearing you very good down here. Chris, you're kind of in and out. And I don't hear myself very well in the web SDR. So probably not doing too awful hot. Just running about 100 watts here. Full wave loop. So up to you, Glenn. N1SNG in the group, KM4XG.
KN4XG, W3MMR, N1SNG. Morning, Perry. And good morning, Jim. Yeah, we've got some snow coming down now. And they said by 10 o'clock it's going to be all over. So we'll wait and see. And, yeah, I got the Aaron's 28, Chris. It's a pretty good size one. They come out with different ones now. The drivetrains are all changed. They changed the tires on them and all that. And mine's probably 12 years old, but it's like brand new. It gets very little use down in Rhode Island here. Yeah, on the share pins. Yep. I went over to Lowe's and I bought a couple of bags of them. Just to have on hand. Yeah, and I've had that happen before where it, you lose the positioning of the alignment, and you got to get a drive pin punch to knock them out. Easier said than done. Depends on how long they've been in there. But don't use anything other than what they've specified. Don't try using a bolt or anything like that unless it's an emergency, because you get a bolt in there. It doesn't have a stress riser on it. It's not going to shear. The amount of force it would take to shear it. I think I have 5/16 size of mine. I don't know, but in any case, I got an extra set of belts for it. And like I was telling you about the guy last night with the brand new one, and it sounded like crap. I thought for sure there was going to be metal chunks in his driveway. But that similar happened to me when I bought mine. I used it, and it just didn't sound right. I could smell rubber burning. So anyway, this is when I first got it. So I thought I sheared a pin in the front.
Went ahead and just dumped down snow like big snowflakes here, but that didn't happen. But hopefully hopefully the guys over there's got a handle on all that, and hopefully they're out
Right. So anyway, I took it to the, I called up Aaron's, I got on their system, got it over to a local repair guy, authorized dealer, and I told him what was going on, I showed him what was going on, he said, that doesn't look right, so the next day I got a phone call, and he says, I had never seen anything like that before. He says, they forgot to put in one of them, the side thrust washers, bearings. So there was only one bearing on either side of the gearbox, right from the factory. So maybe that's what happened to this other guy's mower, something like that. But anyway, get it right over to you, Chris, and good morning, Perry, and good morning to Jim. Jim's got a light copy this morning here. Plus, I'm experiencing noises that I've never heard before. Very interesting. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, okay. N1 SNG and the Jovial Crew, HA1G. Yeah, not copying Jim. I can tell he's in there, but I guess we just don't have propagation on this band right now. Perry is pretty light. Yeah, it looks like you might have a little more snow coming at you, Perry. I poked around a bunch of the different radars, and it still looks like there's quite a bit of it coming your way. And they just revised our forecast down. It's down to maybe 6. Probably because we got a late start here. I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah. I like errors are probably, to me, those are the, those are like the industry standard around here. I'd say they're good machines. And I got mine at the local Home Depot. Never really had trouble. The only problem I've had is I've occasionally ingested some chunks of ice and sometimes some small rocks. Especially part of my driveway is gravel. Blow that part because I don't like blowing the gravel all over the place, even though I set the runners high enough so I shouldn't. But invariably some get flown, and sometimes they'll get stuck, and at the very least they'll scratch up the back of the spout of the cavity there, where the impellers run in, and at worst they'll actually jam the impeller up, and then the shear pin goes. So I try to avoid that. One of the things I do though is I put a tie wrap on the handle over on the right side where the impeller driving cage is, so I can engage the impellers and then slide that loop of tie wrap over the handle to keep them engaged. I can go and look and see and make sure they're both turning. I always keep an eye on that. Otherwise you don't really notice right away. And sometimes you don't even notice that it's pulling to the right or the left, so you're not getting a good throw out of it. But it's a good machine. I have no complaints. I think if I get another one, in fact, I got a lawnmower from my son Dave, who was up in Bolton. His neighbor runs been there almost 100 years now, a power equipment shop up there in Vernon, and they handle air-ins and Husqvarna. Really nice people to deal with. So that's where I got my Husqvarna mower, which I bought this spring. Very happy with it, and when I've had to deal with them about anything, I lost my my bag for the mower into the dump, and I was unloading it at the brush pile. And there were multiple bags besides the actual the one that hangs on the mower. And apparently I forgot the mower bag at the dump, and it probably got plowed into the brush pile. So I went back the next day and asked if anyone found it. Said no. And I could see how the bulldozer came along and probably pushed it in. Well, it was $100 between the frame and the bag. But they got one for me relatively quick, and no problems. My son Dave said he just bought a nice Husqvarna chainsaw there too. They actually, the guy who runs the place lives right down the block, and his daughter and granddaughter are good friends. So it's nice to know people like that. Anyhow, Perry, on you. And I don't know if I guess you got to go to work today. Hopefully, you don't have any problems on the roads down there. I was out on 95 down in London last night. And, they pre-lined all the roads around here pretty heavy already. So hopefully, we won't have any issues with the roads today. I don't have to go anywhere though. I'm all set. Did stock up last night on essentials like ginger beer and fresh six-pack of Guinness and things like that. W3MMR AJ1G.
AJ1G in the group. W3MMR. Yeah. Shh. Okay, yeah, real good, Chris. I'm hold on here. 435. Yeah. I just feel like I'm not getting positive peaks. There we go. My mod meter wasn't working right. Anyway, that's mo better. Yeah, I was having an audio issue the other day. And it was RF getting in my audio. I thought I had moved something with my EQ, but just enough RF to get in my audio to make it sound like there was more sibilance. So, yeah, things seem to be back to normal now. I get so much RF in this shack because of where my antenna's oriented. I have ferrite on everything. Mix 31 ferrite on everything in here. So at least that's back to normal. Yeah, I don't have a snowblower. I never have. My dad's got one he's had for about 5 years, I guess, but he hasn't used it much. I don't think he's even used it at all in the snow. Because ever since we got it, all the snow that we've had, I guess, it's been, not deep enough to where like you can't get out of the driveway or can't get out of the garage. And I know the times that it's been really bad. He's got a almost 550-foot long driveway. The neighbor will come by in his tractor and plow the driveway, usually before he even has a chance to go out there with the snowblower. And I know he hasn't. I don't think he's used it on the sidewalks yet either. But that's a testament to how much things have changed. I mean, really, with as far as snowfalls go in the past 20 years. You know, it's definitely been a change, man. But I think things are going to change back to the way they were. You know, things ebb and flow. Things ebb and flow. And I think we'll go through the cycle of where we'll all have a bunch of snow again. But Chris, yeah, it was a quick movement, man. Yeah, okay, so they turned the total down a little bit, I guess, for you guys. I saw you guys could get up to 10 inches in Rhode Island, Connecticut, up that way, 7 to 10, they were saying. But, yeah, this will probably be out of here the next hour, I would say, with the way it looks like it's moving on the radar and stuff. But I'm happy. Everything's covered. You know, last night we prepared at work. We got a guy that comes through and plows the lot, so I had to move all the cars in the parking lot to one end. So that was a pain. But it's all worth it because I like the snow, man. And Jim, yeah, you guys got some snow down there the other day. I was wondering how you guys did with all that snow. My dad got about 10 inches, 8 to 10 inches over there where he was at in Jersey, and then probably another 2 to 4 maybe today, maybe more. So, good stuff, man. Good stuff all the way around. Send it back down to you, Jim, and see if the band's improved between you and everyone else. You're good here, but maybe the guys up north are having a little difficulty this morning. But nevertheless, Jim, you are in there. KM4XG with N1SNG and AJ1G. This is W3MMR.
Yeah, W3MMR, KM4XG. Now, I'm having a real hard time with everybody. Got a lot of static crashes down here because of this off the coast. There's quite a lot of lightning off the Virginia coast, and it's really playing havoc with me here. A lot of QSC as well. So I'm going to go ahead and check out because I know if I'm having this problem, then you guys are having the same with me. I'm certain about that. So I'll say 73 to get some shut-eye. I've been up all night. Nice hear you fellas here at 160. For what it's worth, you know, maybe another day will be better. 73, and to you, Chris, AJ1G, Perry, W3MMR, I'll send it up to you, Glenn, M1SNG, 73, we'll catch y'all later, KM4XG.
Yeah, okay, Jim. Yeah, 73. Sorry, conditions aren't that great down there, but usually static crashes up here also. But I've got a good copy on Perry and Chris. But you know, you're right at the noise level there. You're close to that activity. So maybe catch up with you a little later on, Jim. But you know, thanks for stopping by this morning. That's for sure. Yep. In the early morning snowblower net. Well, Chris, yeah, I've got some Husqvarna equipment here. I've got a weed whacker, which you know, it was okay, but I had a Toro that I picked up at a yard sale, brand new, it was $10, and I'd say the Toro will make it to the top of the hill before the Husqvarna. It's just one of them models, you know, that really isn't too performance related. But chainsaws, I've got one here. I bought it back in 1981, and back then I paid $400 for it. And that one there, I'll tell you, that's been a real workhorse. And the guy bought it off. He said that'll be the last one you buy. And I think they're all made they're made somewhere else now, I believe. I don't think they're made over in Sweden. But in any case, that goes for a lot of the equipment out there. But yeah, it's still good stuff. It's still good stuff. The Husqvarna. I had a Husqvarna lawnmower, and I ended up giving that to Brown down in the bunker there, and he basically. I ran that thing till it died, but it was just a push mower, nothing fancy, no baggers or anything like that. But in any case, you know, for each his own. There's so many of them out there for any budget, you know. And the snowblowers, I don't know where they make them. I think the Ariens, they have their own factory. And the rest of them there, the MTDs, the Cub Cadets, Toros, I think they're all made in the same place. And I think the John Deere stuff is all made in China. You know, the riding mowers and all that there. So, you know, it is what it is. And, you know, for the usage factor around here, you really don't need a $1 million freaking snowblower. That's for sure. But I got a small electric Toro. Chris, I think you have that one too. I think it's the 1018 or something. It's a little electric snowblower. And I have one of those, and it's got little tiny wheels on it, like shopping cart wheels. And that thing there, man, that just rips through the light powdery stuff. Yeah, we'll go through 6 inches of snow. And it's
And there's Gary. Good morning, Gary. N1XZW. Go ahead, Gary. Make a transmission.
Oh, just want to say good morning. Really a lot to be on that. I kind of came right in the middle of what Tom was talking about. But you go ahead and Charlie, pick it up at N1XZW W4NK.
W3MMR.
And there's Perry. Wow. About time everybody gets up. Anyway, Dan, I'm going to turn it up to Perry, and I'm gonna finish my coffee here on this next one and sit back and listen to you guys for a while. But before I do that, I don't know if you ever had it down there, but up here in New England years ago, all of the real steep hills that you might run into a problem on,
they put these wooden cross braces on the side of the road, and they leaned an old 55-gallon drum into them. And a truck would come by in the fall and fill them all up with salt sand. And it was up to you to get unstuck. If you wanted to be out there during a snowstorm and you got stuck, you took your little shovel out of the back of your car and you went over the salt barrel and got some sand and threw it under your wheels. Now, I remember this because this was still this way when I was driving, when I first got my license. And that was the way it was pretty much from almost the horse and buggy days. They weren't there to say, oh, we have to keep the roads 100% clean because people may want to go out in the middle of a snowstorm. It was like, if you went out, you were on your own. They did what they did to help by putting the salt out there available to you if you got stuck. And after that, it was your problem. When the storm was done, then they would come out and clean. So, there you go. The easier they try and make it, the more accidents you have. Odie Perry. W3MMR. N1XZW. We got Dan, UMU, and Gary. Never kiss alligators.
Yeah, okay, W3MMR, all right, Glenn, or Jesus. Charlie, sorry. I was down on 160 with Glenn and Chris, and they kept talking about snowblowers. I don't have a snowblower, and I was getting lost in the conversation, so I came up here. I'll let them two talk about snowblowers. I didn't have really anything to add, so. Anyway, yeah, a little snow down here, probably 3 or 4 inches so far. Still going. Not much longer, though. Good morning, Dan. Great signal up here as always, buddy. Gary, great signal. And Charlie, great signal. So the band's in great shape here. I'll send it right back down to you, Dan, and we'll keep it moving here. KD4UMU in the group. Good morning, Dan, from W3MMR.
All right, good morning to you there, Perry, and good morning to Gary down there in Deltona, Florida. Sounding good up here as well. Yeah, I got in here a little bit earlier and run into your dad there, W2SDR, and talked to him for a little bit this morning. And then a few of the other guys started coming in. I heard Charlie come in, so picked Charlie up. We've been sitting here knocking it back and forth. And yeah, I'll tell you, Charlie on blocking up the interstates and stuff out here. We had one of those real deep. It was just sleet that come down, and man, there must have been a foot of that stuff on the ground. And it wasn't snow; it was just the little balls of ice that fell, you know. And it just stacked up. Well, what they did was they came through with the snow plow trucks, and they plowed it all from the center of the interstate over to the on and off ramps. Yeah. Try to get your low-profile car on or off the interstate with all that. Man, I tell you what, they had every one of the on and off ramps blocked. Now, why they didn't start at the on and off ramp side and plow it all to the middle, I'll never know. But that's what they did. That's certainly what they did. But I don't know. I guess maybe somebody learned something a little bit that day. Anyway, Gary, here she comes. I guess you guys don't have to worry about that down there in Florida. WD4NKA from KD4UMU. Looks like it goes back to the top to Charlie there when you get done there, Gary. KD4UMU.
This is KD4UMU in the group. WD4NKA. Good signals all the way around. Very sounds good. You're really well. He says 9. You're about 10-15 over yourself. Dan, so no, we don't have to worry too much about that kind of thing. Now, when we start complaining about the weather that's during hurricane season, during the monsoons, we have our own brand of that kind of thing. Usually has to do with flooded roads and, things floating around. So, yeah, central part of the mid-state, it can get pretty cold. But boy, not this year. I don't know what's going on. But it's not raining, so that's all I care about. And yeah, that's how I spent my day. I spent the rest of the day watching our new TV streaming service. We got rid of the cable and got a Roku, and now we've got some free and a couple of subscription services that are much cheaper than the $290 or so we were paying each month for 1,000 channels when we were only watching about 3. Station-wise, you'll probably already know what I'm running. But just to recap, listening to you on an RX-4350 and using a 1/8 wave vertical up on the roof with a lot of wires just kind of spilled around. Everything elevated at about 15 and 20 feet, depending on where you want to measure the terrain, because the terrain is not level. So it's an average of about 20 feet above average terrain. So it's ground plane. And my audio mod is 3-foot cable from my amplified T104 to the FT101. That's from the FL2100B. Charlie, go ahead and pick it up. And the 1XZW. This is WD4. Never kiss alligators, which bears repeating, but I won't.
And 1XZW. I'm winging it this morning, guys. My frequency counter went out yesterday, so it's constant zero beating here, because it takes a couple of hours for this Ranger to warm up fully, and during that 2 hours, it drops 2.5 kcs. So if I don't remember every 10 minutes or so to zero beat somebody, in a little while I'm on another frequency. So, if everybody was in the same boat I was in today, and we all kept zero beating each other who was off frequency, I guess, by the end of a long QSO, we could be in a different band. Think about that one. You think about the technology of 40, 50 years ago. Frequency was, a frequency was where you were talking. It wasn't a specific number. The average guy didn't have a frequency counter, so, he went by the calibration of his dial and then hoped it was close enough. Anyway, very good on the conditions. Yeah, it's funny, Perry, you say that. They were talking about snow blowers. Up here, we've been talking about salt sand. Gee, it seems to be the subject matter of the day. Anyway, over to you, Perry. W3MMR, M1XZW.
M1XZW, W3MMR. Yeah, real good copy all the way around, man. Band's in good shape. Good condition. That's for sure. It's still coming down a little bit here. Yeah, good morning to you, Gary. Gary, was it yesterday morning we talked? Can't remember. See, I'm so bad at logging. I'm really bad at logging my contacts. Even though I have a nice big old log here on the computer, but I never use it. Well, I shouldn't say that. I don't use it with the people that I talk to on a regular basis, like where I've talked to a lot, like Dan or you guys, or things like that. So, but I've been trying to become more conscientious of logging. So, hopefully we're gonna improve on that. I just got you guys all in there. Yeah, really nothing else here, man, on the agenda. Probably get out here as soon as the snow stops and start shoveling. It says it's snow to stop on here, so it should be going, I would say, by within another hour, 40 probably, is what they're saying. I'll get out there and shovel before I gotta go to work and do all that fun stuff. So Dan, yeah, I was watching on the news, and I saw Shepherdsville on the news. But I think some highway was closed down. 65. Oh, that's what it was. Kevin, WBA DMX. I'm on Facebook friends with him, and he was driving through your area. And I guess I-65, or is it 64? 65, I think, was shut down. And he was backed up in traffic, and then he posted another video where he was moving again, but it was really, really bad, really slow going. So I hope that he got through all that all right. I haven't heard anything else on Facebook from him this morning, or haven't noticed anything, so we shall see. And looks like the all right, there we go. It looks like the RF, the snow's having some RF issues here in the shack with my recording software here. It's causing it to go out every time I key up. It happens every now and then, man, when it rains or it snows. So, all right, we'll keep it moving. Enough out of me. Crap. It goes to B, to Gary. Okay, I think it goes to Dan. KD4UMU in the group, and I'll write this down next time. My apologies. W3MMR.
All right, very good, very good. And congratulations to Gary down there, getting off of all that high dollar. Was it 200 channels of crap to choose from on the TV show? They need to rewrite the Pink Floyd tune, I guess. But yeah, you know, at least with that, you can tune in and watch what you want. Hey, the one thing about the Roku TV is you've got an excellent news source on there. I don't know if you've tuned in Real America's Voice, but tune that channel in, one of the news networks down there. In particular, every day at 10 o'clock, and watch the War Room. They'll tell you what all these clowns up there in Washington, D.C.'s really doing and what's really going on. You don't hear that narrative biased left control that CNN and and that and YouTube and all of that stuff has to the left. They give you the real poop on what's happening. So congratulations on that. And see, Charlie, frequency counter's out. Yeah, well, I don't know. Hey, maybe Charlie, maybe they ought to just have. If you got your ham radio license, we ought to be able to just tune and go just anywhere we want, as long as the frequency's not in use, and get in there and knock around. Well, wouldn't that be cool? Secondary users, of course, like we are on the 60-meter band. But, yeah, that would eliminate a lot of headaches and traffic jams on ham radio. That would be something else. And let's see, Shepherdsville, yeah, the interstate was shut down yesterday, and apparently I went to work yesterday, and of course, it was cold, but the roads were clear. And by the time I got out of work, 65 was shut down. I mean, just multitudes of accidents on the interstate out there, and them trying to respond and getting people off the interstate and all that. It was shut down. I mean, if you were sitting in a line out there, and it's a bunch of miles between exits, and people's only recourse was to wait till they hit an exit and get through the 400 changes of the red lights into the towns and try to mosey on the offside road, but slow going, very, very slow going. And of course, not my first rodeo as far as that's concerned in trying to get around the area, so I know how to get around all of that. So I did. And, getting to the house, because I have to cross over the interstate or use the interstate for several miles to get over to the house. So I just ran the country back roads of those roads of, they're just not real well known, and I use them to get around, So it took me quite a bit longer to get home yesterday, but did make it. I did make it. But, instead of my 30-minute drive, I think it wound up being an hour-and-a-half drive to get to the house. But, hey, it is what it is. I did make it up here, so Anyway, with that, let's see. Gary, here she comes. WD4NKA in the group from KD4UMU.
Signals are still holding up quite well. Charlie's still hearing you, which is amazing for Florida. Well, I've been looking at this amazing book that I didn't realize I had. Shared yesterday to get some of my canoe transport materials. And I have a 1933 Cunningham Radiotron tube manual. And I know I've had that manual, but I thought it was just like all of the other old manuals. Basically, it just had the tubes and the specs, and that's it. No, this isn't just that. It's got that all right, but it also has 1/4 of the book teaching you how every one of these tubes work in theory. It's like a tube course, and then there's photographs of how these tubes are built. There's photographs of the Radiotron plant and the evacuation machines and the gluing of the shoulders, the bulbs. They're all balloon bulbs and shoulder bulbs. And then the individual testing that is done. Looking at this one picture of the gal with finger curl hair, right? And she is doing an analysis on this tube, on this machine, and they do it with every single one. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my gosh, no wonder all my 1920s era tubes still have full emission. I've got a bunch of these old tubes, and I've used them all at one point or another, the 24As or 27s or whatever, 45s, those things. And all of them will work great. My problem is just getting the filament voltages, because they're kind of odd. 27 can light a house. But still, amazing book. So I've just been kind of flipping through that, going, I had no idea these are in here. I'm going to photograph some of these pages and post them on some of the vintage radio groups that I'm a member of. But anyway, yeah, interesting stuff. I didn't even know I had this book, so I've been totally distracted. Let's see, what else has been going on here? Since we don't have snow shovel and our interstates aren't closed down, and everything's just wonderful here, guys. Just, y'all come on down, so spend some time down here, visit. Leave your mask up there, see. I guess it'll be fine until the temperature starts heating up again in June and July, and then we'll all be miserable. How about that? Charlie, go ahead and pick it up. N1XZW, WD4NK. WD4NKA, N1XZW.
My noise up here is starting to take Gary out. But, during this pause here, while I was waiting for him to come back around, I went and looked out the door. And what I said earlier, the snow that was supposed to be here at 3 o'clock hasn't got here yet. Well, somewhere between when I came down here at 4:30 and now, the snow arrived. I looked out the door, everything is white, and it's coming down like a blizzard. So, it's finally arrived. So there you go, Gary. You can leave your house now. It's over here. Oh, well. I didn't catch a lot of what you said, Gary. I heard you talking about an old tube manual, and I have a local noise problem over here since around Christmas. It sounds like one of those, here it comes, Dan, one of those Chinese Walmart noises, and it's starting my house. So, and we have to live with it. 24 hours a day, whatever it is. It's making receiving more difficult than ever. Anyway, over to you, Barry. W3MMR,
M1XZW, W3MMR. All right, yeah. Charlie, yeah. So it just started up there, huh? Yeah, I was talking to Glenn and Chris, and they, I guess, are expected. The snow totals went down there, I guess, from from, I guess, I don't know, 10 inches to 6 or 8 inches to 6 or something. I forget what Chris said exactly, but either way, it's supposed to be, pretty sure you guys are supposed to get some pretty nasty stuff. Where do we go here? Oh, yeah, so Gary, you got rid of cable? I pay a ton of money for cable and internet. I mean, I pay over $200 a month. I think it's like $219 a month or something it comes out to be. And that's upgraded, like, you know, internet is second fastest internet, and my cable package includes a bunch of extra channels. I get you know, MLB Network and stuff like that, because you guys know I'm a huge baseball fan, so which is really the biggest reason I have it, and for the sporting events, for Phillies games, for any Philadelphia sports teams, they're all on with NBC Sports Philadelphia, which is NBC affiliate, which is you know, I don't think you can get on a Roku or a Fire Stick or you know, you can't get it on Verizon Fios. You can only get it on Xfinity, which is what Xfinity/Comcast. So that throws a wrench in the operation for me, because if I could get all the baseball games and sporting events, and I could get MLB Network, I would drop this stuff in a heartbeat and just have the internet. But also where Comcast or Xfinity gets you is the combo package with the internet and the cable. That's where they really get you. You know, because they upcharge the hell out of you if you just want the internet. But they'll make it cheaper on your bill if you get it with the cable. So you spend $220 a month on cable and internet, then you just get the internet, and it's $150 a month. I'm exaggerating, but you understand what I mean. It's still freaking expensive. But I've been thinking about cutting the cord. I really have. Dan, I've heard you mention that news network quite a few times. You're not the only one I've heard mention it, but I'm not a news person. I unfortunately try to stay as far away from the news. You know, ABC, NBC, CBS, you know, all those news places. You know, the news I get is usually from other people. You know, people that I trust and know. You know, or I'll go and do some digging myself if I want to know something about something. But I mean, network news is just scare tactics, is all it is, to scare people and into doing this and doing that, and a lot of sad things. A lot of people getting killed is what it is, or sick people. So that's good on me. I'm good with that stuff, man. But yeah, I wonder if you guys know any answers to those questions. I know, I don't know if is it you or Kevin who's the big college sports fan, Dan? It might be both of you. So maybe you have an answer about the sporting stuff with the Roku there. Back to you, Dan. KD4 UMU and the fine group here from W3MMR.
I don't know. That'd be a good question for Gary down there. Now that Gary has his Roku set up. But, yeah, you know, all of those major networks, pardon me, you know, whether it's CNN or ABC, NBC, I say you know, those networks, well, they live off of, they call it fear porn. And they want to keep you scared shitless so that you can't get out and do anything. And don't watch it. Don't watch none of it. You want to hear what's really going on? Tune into the War Room. And you can go back and look at past highlights of shows. You can get on Rumble, which is, well, it's replacing YouTube. You know, YouTube is completely biased. You know, if it doesn't support the narrative of what they want you to know, your videos will be canceled, or they'll cancel you off of it, or what have you. Same thing with Twitter, Facebook, and all that. Don't do none of it. No, none of that. Every bit of that stuff on my computers and stuff I've wiped out. So I watch that. There's just absolutely great sources of good information out there, positive information. If you've never checked out Defending the Republic, if you've never checked out The War Room on Real America's Voice Network, I recommend you do. Oh, and by the way, if you've got a local broadcast TV station, which all cities do, an outside antenna, and I'll be on there. Normally, somewhere in your city, the War Room will be broadcast on local digital channels, and you can pick it up that way if you don't have Roku or internet or all that kind of stuff. So numerous different ways of doing it. But you know, when you sit and listen to a lot of these news agencies, you just kind of shake your head. It's like, oh man, listen to all the craziness that you're putting out there, and you know a lot of it's not right. You want the real deal? Get on there and listen to the War Room, and get you can go, like say, back onto Rumble videos, and do a search for the War Room, and you can go back and look at past show highlights. Very, very informative. They're not there to scare you to death. They're there to tell you what's actually going on, and the path that America should be taking instead of this path that we're on. And you won't find any of that on YouTube. YouTube is that's mostly for people that want to get monetized and make money. And and there's a certain path that they got to stay on. They can't say certain things or they'll get demonetized. So it's all crazy. But yeah, you want to just steer clear of all that crap and check out. There's lots of good networks out there. Good places to get information, and like I say, one of them is Defending the Republic. You can go in and look at some of their past news events, and they'll list and tell you what are good sources of information, so you'll know what's going on. Because otherwise, all these other networks, they're doing exactly what it said. It's all fear porn to keep you scared. And if you just don't tune into it, and eventually you can spot a BS story from a mile away once you become informed or open your eyes, or they call it the Grand Awakening. Everybody's starting to wake up. Everybody's been in this comfortable slumber for years on end, and as it turns out, they've been taking advantage of that. So everybody's starting to wake up now. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign it. Go get me another cup of coffee here, and we'll send it on around. Check me out. And as far as the sports thing there, Perry, I guess it was Kevin. Kevin's into that stuff. I don't watch sports. Used to watch a lot of NASCAR races. Been to a lot of NASCAR races, and I don't even watch that anymore. It's become too daggone political in itself. Biased here and there. So I mean, nooses hanging out of garages and the rhetoric that created, and all that was somebody made one of those to pull the door up and down, and it just went stupid. Stupid's all it was. But anyway, this guy that won the NASCAR race, Brandon, he had his car made up, and it had FGB on the side of it, and the NASCAR affiliates, they decided they didn't like that. He lost all of his sponsors. His sponsors up and left him after the big chant of "Let's Go Brandon" come out, and a lot of his sponsors up and dumped him. So he got a new sponsor for the FGB Bitcoins. So, but they won't allow him to run that on his NASCAR coming up in February. So they're trying to block that, but more to follow on that. If anything, that interests me more than actually watching the race. But, hey, it is what it is. Hey, sign me out, guys. Here she comes. WD4NKA from KD4UMU.
I don't know.
Hey, it's standby one.
I guess developed after that. But I will mention I do not and will not ever watch professional sports. Largely because of the high school gym teachers and high school coaches that I know that have filed grievances because of the deep reach that the NFL has into American high schools, into American middle schools, all the way to grade schools. Yes, grade schools. Yes, grade schools. It's the professional sports team, NBA, NFL, all of them. As far as I'm concerned, they are not sports organizations. They are political organizations, and have been for many, many years, because it's well known that when it comes to your favorite football game, college or pro sports or basketball games, you're just going to throw politics out the window and support them, and the heck with it. And inevitably we divorce ourselves. So it's a perfect guise and cover, and it has worked. But you listen to talk to some of the high school coaches, and it's just amazing the liaison that goes on between the school and the professional team. And just a crap. Our youth pastor quit. He's a youth pastor now because he just stepped out. He couldn't do it anymore. He couldn't fall in line with it, and that's just with a local middle school here in Deland. So it is unbelievable. There's so much stuff going on behind the scenes. It really is cool. It really is amazing. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. And Roku is new to me. I don't know a whole lot of the ins and outs. We set up a couple channels. There's Pure Flags and that kind of thing. Some really good movies on there. And there's Hallmark, although I stopped watching Hallmark now that Hallmark has become woke. So I stopped that. I have a problem with that word woke, W-O-K-E, because during the Nazi rallies, during the Nuremberg rallies, all of those pennants had this one word underneath the banner, which is the German word erwacht, which means awaken. They considered themselves a woke group and even used the terminology back in 1936 and 35. So anybody who is doing that in any language and using it as a banner or as a slogan, I'm very, very wary of. Most of you know my family went through all that crap. My mom and her parents and everything. So I'm with you there, Dan. It's nothing like watching history repeat itself. Like my mother used to always say, Gary, it can happen here. It can happen here. And slowly but surely it does. So anyway, phones are staring at me. Let me go ahead and turn up at Charlie. Charlie, your last transmission, I wasn't hearing you that well. I think the band is starting to change. You may not be hearing me. So somebody may have to redirect. But go ahead and pick it up. N1X, ZW, WD4, never I can tell you. WD4, NKA, N1X, ZW. Anyway, I'm going to make this my last one. It's going to be that time. You go upstairs and look out the window and watch the snow fall, I guess. Nobody out there waiting to get cookies this morning. I guess they're all hunkered down. They're all hunkered down. They saw the storm coming and said, well, let's go underground. Anyway, I cut the cable almost 3 years ago. I retired. I looked at it like, $200 and some dollars for my cable, and every year it went up. Every year you lost more
you wouldn't watch. And the price would go up every year. And it was $220 when I retired almost 3 years ago. It was $220. And I didn't have any extra channels. I didn't have any extra anything. That was just a basic bundle. And at that point, I was like, all I really need is internet. I threw up an antenna in the attic. We received, I don't know, 30, 40 digital channels over the year. And if you want to watch a movie, you go look around online. You may be able to find the movie you want to watch without a problem. There's thousands of movies out there for free. And that's the way we do it. And I don't pay no extra. I have high-speed internet, costs me $80 a month, and that covers everything. What did I need the phone service on my cable for? All I got on my house phone was spam and BS. Once I was retired, I couldn't be without a cell phone. Otherwise, if I was away from home, how would my wife contact me? So I got a cell phone, which she already had a consumer through the AARP, because she retired before I did, and it was only $15 extra to add another phone on. So I went to the local consumer. They sell out of Target stores. I went there and for like $79 I bought a Moto, and then I had my own personal phone. I used to use a company phone when I was working. They supplied me with a phone. And now I was retiring, I was going to have to turn that back in, so even after having to add a cell phone, to her account, I'm still like paying less than half of what I was giving the cable company. With the high-speed internet and the cell phone and everything. So, cutting the cable, there's no reason why not to. I definitely don't regret doing it. Anyway, who are you, Perry? I'm going to check out right about now. And you guys have a wonderful day. Try not to play in the snow too much. W3MMR N1XZW.
N1XZW in the group. Turn this down. W3MMR. I got DMR going, or All-Star going on in the background there. Yeah, real good stuff, guys, all the way around. What do we got here? Yes, I think I'm going to get out of here myself. I'm going to, well, you know what? I'll stick in here for one more. No, I'm not. I got to run down the hall. I got to hit the command center. Then I'm going to get another cup of coffee. I was looking at my coffee, seeing if I wanted to get up or not. It's chilly out here in the shack this morning. It was 61 when I came out here this morning, which isn't real bad, but sometimes, I guess before I did this sealing in here, not sealing like as in the roof, but I sealed off a bunch of, because my shack is out in a old, what used to be a porch that's now finished, and my house is well over 100 years old, and like in the closet and stuff, there's a closet on the other opposite side of me, and there was, get the baseboard, you could see like down to the floor, like underneath of the baseboard, you could feel the draft coming up, man. So I took Great Stuff foam and sealed up everything a couple years ago, and it used to get down to about 50 degrees out here in the mornings in the shack, and now it doesn't get below 60, so that's awesome. I got to use a space heater out here. I have radiators in the house, and I do not have one out here, so I use a little space heater to get the job done. But let me see what else we got here. All right, snow's still coming down. Dan, real good on like you were talking about the Roku and the sports. Yeah, sorry, I knew Kevin was into the sports, but I thought I thought that you had mentioned something about it before, but obviously I was wrong. So my apologies about that. Yeah, NASCAR's kind of become well, a lot of sports. A lot of people have kind of turned their head to it. Look the other way. And even a lot of people who are very big into sports. They they literally just completely turned away from it because of the political stuff. It was pretty prominent in baseball right after all that, I guess, the George Floyd stuff happened. Maybe it wasn't the George Floyd stuff. Whenever all that stuff happened, there was like they were showing solidarity on the field together, and like the black the flag thing or whatever they were doing, and players had sayings on their helmets and on the jerseys. Okay, so that went on for a little while, like a month or so, not even. But as far as baseball is really the only sport I watch religiously, and I watch some hockey as well, NFL football a little bit, no basketball. In baseball, there's none of that. There's no more woke stuff anymore. It's all gone. They don't start every game with that. Every game, Pledge Allegiance or the national anthem, everybody stands up, takes their hats off, nobody's kneeling, none of that stuff. Okay, everything's back to normal with baseball. As far as football, I don't see much of that stuff going on. I see like some sayings in the back of their helmets. They'll say like end racism or something. Whatever, who cares? They can have a saying on there. Ain't no sweat off of my back. But as far as them shoving the stuff in your face, like they were during the sporting events, I don't see it as much anymore. I don't see it at all in baseball. But the one thing that is different, though, is commercials. Commercials have really become different. Commercials are very inclusive. They're very diverse now, almost to the point, I'm not going to say almost, they are to the point where they're not realistic. You know what I'm saying? Like you see a company, they're having a board meeting, right? And they're all sitting around this big table. And there's one of every race and creed and religion on that table. At that table. I mean, I've never worked in a place. I've worked in a place where it's been diverse, like some white and black guys, but I've never worked in a place where every single person has been a different ethnicity or a different religion, or out of 10 people, every single person is different. I don't. It's not like that where I'm at. I don't know about you, where you guys are at, or where you guys have worked, but you get what I'm saying? Like a lot of this stuff and like the LGBTQ commercials and things like that, the stuff doesn't seem natural, and it seems like it's being forced just because they think they have to. So I'm kind of hoping that kind of goes through its phase and then goes away. So that's really, I'm not into politics or the news watching or anything like that. I don't comment on it much. You guys know most of the time if I hear it, I say, how about that weather? Or change the subject. But that's the only thing that I don't like, is just how not natural things seem on commercials nowadays. So with that being said, back down to Dan, KD4UMU in the group. W3MMR. I'm on the SDR this morning.
Kilo 8 Echo Whiskey Mike.
Sorry, Ed. Ed's in there at K80WM.
I think Dan may have signed.
Okay. Go ahead, Ed, and make one. And then send it down to Gary, WD4NKA.
Okay, real good, Perry. Good morning. W3MMR from Kilowatt Echo Whiskey Mike. Snowbound, North Kingsville, Ohio. Got about 42 people coming down here. Everybody's coming pretty good here this morning. Perry, you're coming in real well. Well, I guess I wouldn't be me if I didn't throw in my comments. Politics on the radio, I always stayed away from it because a lot of guys get fired up about it and all that. Especially in the past 10 months or so, it's really more than politics. It's a way of life that's affecting me, and it's bad. It's really bad. And everything we're talking about, the media and blah, 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 and everything, one thing we lose track of is this is what they voted for. This is what you that voted for them said, this is what you want. You talk about the welfare and the riots and everything. That's what you voted for. And that's pretty sad. And you had the misfortune of listening to the Clinton News Network or MSLSD. It's just awful. It's just awful. Perry, I can't agree with you more about the commercials. Every single one of them, you know, you have a black lady driving the car, the white husband in the passenger seat, and you have two shiny kids in the back. The whole goal is to really take down the middle-class white guy. The middle-class white guy is the problem. You and I are the problem. We are the racist, and that has to be changed. Obama started that back with the Great Reset. So, anyhow, that's my take on that. Cable. Somebody was mentioning about getting rid of cable when they retired. I think that was Charlie. I cut the cable also, Charlie. We don't get any commercials here. We get virtually no media. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. Dan, you were talking about, if you're still listening, some of the media structures that you listen to, and we catch some of those on occasion. But my cable, when we started out a number of years ago, was $80 a month. And when I finally called to shut it off, it was $160 for the same exact product. And you don't just call and have them shut it off. No, they send you to a team to help talk you out of it and all that. And I had to get like a crazy person, guys. I had to keep on chanting over and over, turn it off, and finally they did. And then I've been getting emails and texts from them constantly about it. So, and the commercials in sports. I don't know about the baseball period. I guess you do. It's not so bad. But I used to be a big NFL fan. No more. Won't watch it. So, guys, I'm going to make this my one and done. I would like a couple of reports from you fellows. I'm on a Kenwood 890 this morning. About 125-mile carrier to 160-meter double. And I've got to go out for the first time at this new location and shovel snow. So I'll be listening for a while, but this is my last one here. WD4N. Go ahead and pick it up. This is Kilowatt Echo with
Hey, go ahead, Gary. Your turn.
Okay, real good. Perry, I was not hearing him at all, so and at this point I'm probably going to need to make this my final because it's coming up to the 6 o'clock hour. But hey, I wanted to mention to you, Perry, I don't know if you knew it or not, but I used to run the optical that the Philadelphia Phillies used for glasses for their guys down at the spring training camp at Farmer Field there in Clearwater. This would have been, in the very early 90s, 92, 93, right around there. Had some pretty big name guys in the area. We had, I'm trying to think of some of the, Burt Reynolds was one of our clients, and Hulk Hogan was one of our clients. Matter of fact, Hulk Hogan had a house right down the road from where we lived over in Crystal Beach. But yeah, Philadelphia Phillies, Toronto Blue Jays also had their spring training camp down there, and we did glasses for them, and it was really kind of cool getting involved with the Phillies, talking about baseball and everything, and I hope what you're saying is true about them abandoning all of this crap, because like you, I like baseball as well. I'm a baseball fan. I can't tell you a whole lot, except I can tell you that as we were moving away from Philadelphia, one of the last pieces to go, one of the last pieces to be moved out of the house was a portable TV set, because we were watching the opening game of Veterans Stadium, and I got to and that opening game was the Phillies playing the Montreal Expos. Got to watch Jim Bunting hit the first home run, which set that whole light display and
And those big animated statues of Philadelphia Phil and Philadelphia Philly and that big light board set that whole thing going. It was really cool. And after he knocked that home run, then the TV set had to be shut off and unplugged, and then it was carried down to the moving van, and that was it. And then we were on our way to Florida. So what would that be? That would be 71. Yeah, sometime, oh gosh, early 71, I think. But anyway, yeah, I just thought I'd mention that, because you mentioned baseball, and I know Phillies has got to be in there, but yeah, I agree with you. Hey, let me go ahead and say 73, and I don't know who else is all in there. I don't know, I guess Dan signed, I don't know who else is there. But good talking with you all this morning, and I'll say 73, this is Witch Doctor 4, Never Kiss Alligators, which does bear repeating, but I won't.
Still in there, Charlie? And 1XCW, W3MMR? Nothing heard. I got some snow static or something here, too. Local noise is brutally loud. Just came up. So 7-3 Gary, 7-3 Ed, Charlie, Dan. I'm gonna get out of here too. I guess I'm the last Mohican here. And yeah, the baseball stuff. Excuse me. As far as the politics and the woke stuff is, I'd say baseball is probably, and hockey are the most anti of that. You don't see it in those sports. You just don't. Ever since all this stuff kind of happened and went down. So I mean, I'd be the first one to tell you, because I watch more baseball than probably 90% of baseball fans. It's always on in my house. MLB Network is on usually 24/7 in the background, something. So anyway, catch you later, guys. I'm gonna get outside and go shovel. As soon as it looks like it's starting to slow down, so I should be able to go out there and shovel now. We got a good 4 or 5 inches, maybe a little more. Everything's white. Snow's feed lines on the feed line. So, all right, guys, we'll say 7-3. Have a fantastic day. Real good, good QSO this morning as always. Great to hear you, boys. Hey, cat, how are you? There's my cat. And Ed, you wanted a signal report. I'm sorry. You're about 10 over S9, maybe a little stronger with some QSB. S9 noise floor. Sometimes you were hitting 15 over S9, Ed, so good signal out here. Not as strong as I've heard you before, but definitely a Q5 signal out this way. So we'll say 7-3, everyone. Have a fantastic day. Ed, I'll send it out to you if you want to tie the ribbons on it. If not, we'll be listening out. K8EWM with WD4NKA, N1XZW, and KD4UMU signed. This is W3MMR standing by.
I can remember when I first got a computer, turn it on, and every AM radio in the house, which is small, would just buzz. And I couldn't even listen to, WOR, which is very strong. But now, I have a couple computers, and like you, they'll sit right on the desk, right in front of the radio. You can't tell if they're on or off. By noise. It's really a pleasure. Lots of electronic stuff has gotten way better than it used to be, for sure. What else? Let's see. You mentioned trains, and I used to love the trains when I was younger. And teenage years, I was in these trains. They had big Lionel trains, big ones. And I think you also mentioned your cat likes to watch the trains. I've got 2 cats, which they took one look outside and said, nope, and came back in. But when the sun's out, they'll go out. They go out and they walk in the snow and they shake their paws a little bit, and then before you know it, they're gone. and you can find them both over, all hunkered down in the snow with their heads looking at the bird feeder. So I guess they kind of like it. And I don't have any projects. My last project was this loop antenna, which works surprisingly well. You know, it's a little down sometimes on some signals on receive compared to the dipole, but it's worked out real well. And I built another little transmitter with an 807 in it, but I'm not using that today. I'm using my 100-watt transmitter today. And one SMG WA2IXP. Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, leave a little pause in there. You never know when somebody's going to show up. All right, very good, Jay. Yeah, the cats are very particular there. They're funny. Yep. Yeah, my neighbor's got a couple of feral cats, and all they do is hunt. And they bring back squirrels, chipmunks, snakes, mice, frogs. I mean, it's incredible. My neighbor, she has to clean off her back steps every day because they just keep bringing stuff in. So yeah, and they're not too friendly cats. Like if you see them in the yard, they're scaredy cats, you know. But they're used to living outside, so they're you know in hunting mood all the time, for sure. But they're nice to have around. You know, they're good company, and you know, they just. I've had cats and dogs before, and all had a you know pretty good run on those pets years back in the day. And it's yeah, good on your 807 rig there. I didn't get too much of that, but I know you're. I think you're on the what is it, 815s there or something. But in any case, beautiful signal into Rhode Island this morning, Jay. And on antennas, yeah, antennas are, you know, I got a 160 antenna here that works pretty good. I really can't go out and start doing anything other than what I have here, my requirements, my needs. I just, you know, I don't do any DX or anything. I'm mostly an AM guy here. I sit back. You know, just like it was CB almost. But I have a lot of fun with it. And, you know, my antennas have been up there for a long time. Got the 160, then I got the 75, then I got a 60 meter. And, you know, they're all wire antennas. And they work quite well for this location. And I'm plagued with noise here. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It just came on one day. And we've had some storm damage in the area here back in August. I think, you know, when they come in and they try to repair things, they do it as quickly as they can. They don't really give a good once-over. So I'm kind of thinking that there might have been something that just kind of broke loose. Maybe an insulator or something, but it's a whining noise, and it's just, it sounds like there's something up in maybe the pole pig or the insulators. And when it rains or snows, you can see a big difference in in how it, the emissions. So I've contacted the local utilities here. And they're supposed to send a team down here to check it out. So there's a work order in for that. But they're taking their time with it. They're very, very disappointed. And, you know, maybe they're just, like everybody else, they've got too many people that are out of work. So we'll just have to wait around and see. And, yeah, there is some local noise and noises coming from the house and things. That are basically accepted as the way things are. I don't think you know, unless you're out in the middle of nowhere with a portable, there's a lot going on the airwaves for sure. But I get used to it after a while here. But I really have to, run the limiters on the receivers here and tune off frequency, narrow the bandwidth in order to get the signals out. So I've gotten used to that. But it would be nice to get the signal back, without the noise. I used to run the old military radio net a while back there. Did that for about a year. But it just got so bad. I'm out here on the East Coast, and it's early morning, and you're trying to pull stations out, around the Pennsylvania area or so, and it gets very, very difficult. The gray line and propagation, and that interference didn't help along with that. So we just kind of sitting back for a while on that there. We'll see how that works out. They come and fix this thing. But the ARRL has a pretty good site, and it's in the RFI column, and it gives you a noise reference and a spectrum analyzer sample. So you go to their site, and then you'll see the list of things like heating blankets, plasma TVs, coffee pots, computers, ground fault detectors, and just the list goes on and on. But you can actually listen to the interference noise at their site. So it kind of gives you a clue to what's, where to look. And I did a whole house shutdown here, and the noise was still there. So we'll see. I think everybody goes through it one time or another. But it's just there's so much garbage out there now. Some of the the appliances that they're making, the Part 15 rules, I don't think they're even in effect anymore. AM's really tough too. If I work in sideband, it's not bad at all. But AM, I'll tell you, sometimes you get beat up pretty good. But anyway, don't deal with it. I can tolerate it. So I'll get it back to you, Jay. And again, signal's holding up quite well this morning. WA2IXP N1SNG.
N1SNG, WA2IXP. Oh, very good on all, Glenn. I just switched. I'm out in my shack this morning, so I switched from the loop over to my dipole, which might be a little bit stronger. It might be a lot stronger. Let me see. I wrote down a few things here. Oh, on the cats, I have a little cat flap door, which I had for years, and they went in and out whenever they wanted. And then I had trouble with raccoons coming in the house and eating all the cat food. And I heard noise, and I got out of bed and I walked into the kitchen. And here there's like 3 or 4 of them. A big one and 2 or 3 little ones, and they're just gobbling up all the cat food, and I'm looking at them and I'm saying, get out of here, and they looked at me like, oh, and they just turned around, didn't run or act scared or anything, they just walked right through the house, back out the door. So, I was going to trap them, and move them. And I made the mistake of asking the animal control guy who lives close by here, and he says, oh no, you can't trap them, you know what, you put food for them. I said, yeah, the freaking food's in the house, it's in the kitchen. Well, you can't trap them. And then he said, you have water right by your house, there's a nice creek, a perfect spot for animals in the edge of the woods. And he said, that they stick together as a family group, sometimes 3 or 4 years, you know, as a unit. It's not like they get born and go off on their own. So he said, they'll die if you split them up and stuff like that. And I thought about it. You know, I don't want to kill them. So I got an electronic cat door that picks up the little ID chip that the cats have in their neck that they got implanted with at the vets. Well, one of them did. One of them didn't have it, but they put it in. It cost like $50. That'll trigger the cat door. You program it. So only they can go in and out. Nobody else can, because the raccoons don't have the chip. So that worked out good. And that's what I have now. And but the cats like to go out. They hunt. This year wasn't too bad, but you know, they catch mice, birds, chipmunks, moles, sometimes a frog or a toad, and or a huge bug like a cicada, big bugs. They grab those too, and they bring them in the house and go right up on the bed, bang. Most of the little creatures they don't kill, they just bring them in there, and then they run all over the house. So, you know, I've gotten good at trapping them and setting them loose again. The little mice you can grab with your hand. You know, the bigger stuff that's got teeth, big teeth, you know, like the chipmunks, you open the window and stick a broomstick from the floor to the windowsill, leave the window open. They zoom out. There was a little baby chipmunk once. I caught him with my hand and turned him loose. And the same with the birds usually. They'll fly out. Or they're so scared you could just grab them. They don't even move, you know. And but this year I guess the cats are getting older now and they'd rather watch than catch. So I'm kind of happy about that. I've only had 2 or 3 unwanted visitors that were invited in, carried in. And then I have one outsider that I have a little house on the edge of the woods, and I put, half a handful of dry food out there, you know, every night, and it comes around and eats it. I don't give it a huge amount of food. I mean, I don't give it enough of food to live on, you know. But I leave a little food for it, and it comes and eats it and goes away. And there's no other ones that I see around, so, you know I shouldn't be feeding them, but oh well. Military radio, man. I remembered your call in the net. I used to listen to that all the time. I don't know if I've ever checked in. But that made me think of my ARC 5 on 160. I have a setup with 2 ARC 5s, which are highly modified, transmitters, and a receiver that work on 160 and 80. No, 160 and 40. So I'll have to, one morning I'll have to warm those up and use that instead. I haven't had those on for a while, but they work quite well. And I've got a bunch of military receivers that I like, BC 342 or 312s. And I've got, let's see, 1, 2, I got 3 of them, you know, that I've gone over. One was in bad shape. I completely stripped it, all the wiring, everything. And, you know, checked all the coils and mechanically repaired it, and then built it up with octal tubes and the same IF transformers. But, you know, some old, some new circuit, you know, with better audio and, you know, the separate RF gain and a couple other, you know, things that you would do. Regulated oscillator, which they don't really need. regulated screen and stuff like that. And I like those little things. They work very well. And if you tune them all up, they'll even work on 20 meters pretty good. But yeah, you know, other things are better. Anything above 40. N1SNG, WA2IXP.
WA2IXP with N1SNG. Okay, very good, Jay. Yeah, I've got the R390A here, which is post World War II. Yeah, they do have a BC348 that sits next to the ART-13, but it doesn't get that much use. It's very broad, wide, and but I use a SP600 with the ART-13. It seems to be most effective. Actually, it's a little more ease of operation compared to the R390A, because it has an IF gain control on it, and the crystal oscillators and all that. You can narrow things down pretty good, especially when there's a lot of the conditions are bad, or there's a lot of noise. I can really narrow it down nicely. So that's a real joy to operate. But most of the stuff is, the Ranger, Valiant, Thunderbolt, BMW 1500. And they seem to quench the thirst here for radios. I would love to have more radios in here, but I don't have the room for it. I'm not going to start stacking radios. I got everything on the tabletop. It's working just fine. I can get a 160 and anywhere else I need to go. And it works out just fine, so pretty much that right now. And yeah, I've got a set of Lionel trains. Actually, the only thing I had left was the Alco 232 engine. It was part of the Murphy Capsule program edition set that they sold back in the I think it was early 60s. Kind of a one-off. So anyway, that engine followed me around for years and years, and I bought the house here and had it up on the shelf, and of course going to the Hamfests and all that. I picked up this big Lionel ZW transformer, giant thing. So I rebuilt it, and was able to power up the engine there. So I ended up getting that going. That seemed to work just fine. And then I said, well, I should probably get some track, and then I ended up building a 4x8 tabletop. So I've got an oval track with a couple of switches on it to bring some of the cars off the track and switch them out and all. So it's pretty cool. And it's not to scale. Basically, I built it for my niece and nephew when they come over, and they have a lot of fun with that set. Nothing fancy, but my sister keeps buying me these like cattle and horses and things that are like bigger than trains, and I'm like, I can't. I'll put them on the shelf, but I can't put them in the on the tabletop. It's starting to look like a pile of toys. You can't see the trains anymore. So, but all the fun, it's for the kids. Yep, that's for sure. Now they have the N gauge. The N gauge is nice because you can fit a lot into a small package and get into the hobby or whatever with the minimal space. So they're kind of cool. Never had any HO stuff. But yeah, it was a joy as a kid growing up, and some friends of mine, they had the bigger sets, They had these huge, whole basement type sets, and the rich kids. But anyway, that worked out quite well for me. And I buy cars here and there, and In fact, I went to a ham fest, and there was a bunch of stuff I bought. So, it's just another something to do, Jay. And good on your cats, and the raccoons. It sounds like you're regular Grizzly Adams over there with the raccoons coming in, and I guess you don't have a beer, but yeah, these days you got to look out for diseases and stuff. I had a rabid skunk in my yard. I was out getting ready to have my family reunion. I'm setting up things, and this is early in the morning. And next thing you know, out of the corner of my eye, I catch something moving, and I look over, and it's a skunk, and he's got a possum. And these possums, they're not big, they're not fighters or anything, they're just, they're like garden slugs, in the animal world. And this skunk was just taken apart piece by piece. You had to see it. So I called animal control. I called DEM and animal control. Animal control showed up, and they were kind of disappointing. And they get here, and they were all dressed up like they had an office job, And I'm like, really? And, they get this equipment out of the truck. No gloves, no glasses, no boots on or anything, you know what I mean? It's like, okay, because if this thing goes at your ankles, you're going to get a good bite. So anyway, after about a half hour, they finally got the skunk away from the possum, what was left of it, and he started going up through one of the backyards. In the meantime, the police department shows up. They have a separate version of the animal control there, where they have to intervene with firearms or whatever method. And so he shows up, and he's got the rifle and all. And they chased him out the front across the street, and then he started coming back at them. So that's when they shot it. But not something you would like to see come into your yard. If you had cats or anything like that, or small dogs, or even kids. So and the squirrels, I've relocated them before. I trap them, and I bring them to work with me, and there's it's all forestry, all oak, and the wildlife up there is pretty well much in tune with their environment. So I didn't ask anybody, I just did it. Not harming the animal at all. Just putting it in relocating it in a sustainable environment. But the chipmunks, when I first moved in here, we had chipmunks. They were getting into everything. And then the cats showed up. And it was kind of a chipmunk, how many can you get type of event. So, yeah, the food chain, I don't know. But, the little door, the chip, that's, I never heard of that before. That's pretty interesting. But it makes a lot of sense, keeping those doors closed down there. And, keeping those critters out of the house. For sure. Yep, they get a dog food. People feed their dogs outside here. A lot of people are raising chickens now, and that's bringing in, the predator prey program. And you just have to be very, very careful around here, because people get chickens and they're in residential areas and stuff. And then my neighbor, he has ducks. But you can see every once in a while the hawks come in, and they kind of survey things in the yard, for sure. But other than that, I've been in the hobby since 1994. I got my tech and my novice on the same day, And then in 2005, I think I picked up the General. So I already had a Johnson Ranger in the works. I restored that. And then I went from there and just started adding on, and a lot of my ham radio acquaintances were into military radios and vehicles and the things. I really admired that, and picked up an ART-13, R390A, and so a vintage station, you know, vintage microphones, nothing fancy here right now. But it is a lot of fun. Get to meet a lot of nice people, and if you get a chance to go to the ham fests, you know, you can match the voice, you know, and at times, you know, you hear this voice, and you think it's a guy that's, you know, 6'3", and you look over and there's this little short guy, and it's like, holy mackerel. You know, nice to meet you, that's for sure. And invite him over for, I don't know, lunch or whatever. But I do enjoy that. It's more, and I sell stuff too. I got boxes of Drac, you know, pieces of radios and stuff I put out. But it's more of a conversational and good time to stock up on things also. Yeah, I've been out to Dayton twice, and attended most of the local ham fest up in the Northeast here. And it's a lot of fun. So right now I'm kind of at maximum level here for radio equipment. And the basement needs a good cleanup anyway. Now that I'm retired from my job, I got to get into the back rooms. I got a little machine shop. It's just something, you know, basics. And I got to get in there and start cleaning all that up there. Because I don't know what I got. It's in layers, Jay. It's in layers on the tabletops. WA2 IXP N1SNG.
WA1SOV. Good morning.
WA1SOV. Morning, Pete. Jay, why don't you pick it up, then pass it over to Pete, WA1SOV.
Okay, WA1SOV, N1SNG, WA2IXP. Oh, hello to Pete. This is Jay in Jackson, New Jersey. You're coming through very well. And, you know, like I was telling Glenn, a little bit of static with the snow, but everybody's perfectly copyable. Interesting story on the skunk. I haven't seen any rabid animals for a long, long time. And here we have skunks, possums, fox, groundhogs live underneath the shed. What else? A few rabbits sometimes. Not too often. You know, snakes, mice, chipmunks, squirrels. But other than the real little creatures that the cats grab, you know, everybody gets along okay. The skunk I haven't seen for a while, but they drift in and out, and the cats don't pay any attention to them. I mean, they see them, you know. Same with the groundhogs. They see them, but they have no effect. They seem to get along, or leave each other alone, you know. And it's interesting. Now they built a big housing development a mile or so away, so they cleared acres and acres and acres. And I can see that, especially the deer, you know, there's zillions of them, that they're getting jammed into smaller and smaller areas. But you know what, that's progress. We're not in Montana here, it's New Jersey, so... well, enough of that, but, yeah, ART-13, that was a lot of fun. I had one, which I used for, quite a few years, and I had it set up. I had it on one of those metal little roll-around carts. And I think the top shelf I turned upside down and reinforced it a little bit. And I had the transmitter on top. And then I added a shelf, so there was 2 shelves on the bottom with the power supply and a little speech amplifier or something. I don't remember exactly. Oh no! The receiver was on the cart too, and I don't remember what that was. I think it was an NC300 because it took up. No, that wouldn't have fit. Well, anyway, whatever it was on there. Then I used it a long time. Then I moved my shack out to my workshop, and I had a smaller area, and it was just kind of in the way, so it didn't have a spot where it could stay hooked up. And then Joe N3IBX came over one day, and he loved that ART-13. And I said, well, we'd traded a few things back and forth in the past, and he liked that. I said, Joe, bring your car up over here, And he goes, well, I said, what's the matter? I said, I don't use it. He says, it's not that. He says, I want the transmitter. He said, I can't figure out how to get it in the house without my wife seeing it. And she knows all the tricks. It's like trying to sneak a bottle of liquor in, when you're not supposed to drink. And so he took it, though, and he got it down into his basement with his unbelievable amount of stuff. Maybe you've seen pictures of it. And he loved that. He loved that transmitter. And I was glad that it went to his home. And, he had it for quite a few years before he died. And what else? Yeah, the 348, the IF is wide on that. And, it works okay and everything. It's aircraft. It was everything was aluminum. They get banged up real easy because the cases are soft and thin. But, you know what? They work good. If we had ours on right now, it'd be fine. But on 75 meters on Saturday, it wouldn't. Saturday night, it would not be so good. And I'm using SP600 right now, and very good. If you take them all apart and really change change all the capacitors, basically. And, the RF deck and all the IF transformers and put it all back together, they work and work for a long period of time. But if you just change a couple things that are bad, then it'll just keep, any of these old sets, they'll just keep going bad and scratchy and noisy and everything else. But, well, let me turn it over to Pete, WA1SOV, to take it with N1SNG, WA2IXP. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, Jay. WA2IXP from WA1SOV in the group. Stand by, alert. Tune this thing. Yeah, that seems to be okay. It was done on 1880 with a group last night, so I had to retune this thing. Anyway, good morning, Jay. Imagine it's snowing at your house, snowing here. Probably snowing at Glenn's house, too. we got about 7 or 8 inches out there on the back deck, looks like. 26 degrees in Sandy Hook, Connecticut is where we're located. Jay, I don't know if we've worked before, but you got a very nice signal. Pushing over 100 over on my SP600, so I'm sure you know what kind of a signal that is. I'm listening to you on a JX17 this morning, and mine has been very, very reliable. The only thing I've ever done to this, well, shouldn't say that. I have retubed it, but I got this in the mid-70s from another ham, and it was in great shape. And the only thing I ever had happen to it was a capacitor on the low band. Was it the low band? Yeah, on the low band. This band here opened up, and I couldn't tune these frequencies, and that was on the tuning turret. You know, the band turret. Now they have all the tuned circuits, you know, that rotate around for each band. So I was able to find that and fix it without too much difficulty, which surprised me because I never had been inside of one of those before. And I've got a R390 here, which has an AGC problem, which I've got to get into, figure out what's wrong there, because that's a nice receiver when it's working. Anyway, just heard you guys in here, thought I'd say good morning. N1SNG in the group, WA1SOV.
Morning, Pete. WA1UQM, hi guys.
Yeah, good morning, Jim. Why don't you make a transmission and then pass it over to me, N1SNG. Sounding great this morning, Jim. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to look at my meters, make sure I'm okay. Yep, looks okay with the snow. N1SNG, WA1UQM. Very good morning, Jay, Pete, Glenn. And there may be someone else in here, I'm not sure. But thanks for letting me in on a beautiful, snowy downtown Simsbury. I think, Pete, we've got maybe 5 inches thus far. And maybe we'll get 6 or 7 as it tapers off around 10-ish or so. So on the homebrew rig this morning, everyone's sounding great. Jay's not quite as strong as Pete's, quite strapping in here this morning. So back over to you, Glenn. N1SNG and WA1U QM Radio.
Yeah, okay, Jim. WA1UQM N1SNG. And put on the snow amounts there. I don't know what I went out about an hour ago and had it was a couple inches out there, so I don't know what we're going to get. They're very, very difficult to forecast the weather here in Rhode Island, especially from the South Shore up. A matter of 5, 10, 15 miles can determine how many inches of snow. It's kind of the vortex here. So we'll go out in a little while and see what all the fuss is about. But they were talking close to 8 inches here on the forecast. But believe it when I see it, for sure. All right. And BC 610 doing a great job there this morning, Jim. And Pete, WA1SOV. Nice signals on a Sandy Hook this morning. And my JX17 when I got it was it's got the red knobs on the front, and it was green. That's what it was. It was a green one. Go figure. kind of like a oscilloscope green on the trace. But in any case, I took some pictures of it, but it just didn't fit into the shack here, that color. I mean, maybe if I had a red one and a blue one beside it, might have represented or something, but it was anodized. It was industrial anodizing on there, and I said, I gotta really clean it up because there's just something about it having a bright green SP600. But I mean, it's personal preference. So I scoured that down and cleaned it up really nice. Got it right down to the bare metal or aluminum, and all the engravings. They were engraved, pantograph type engraving for the the BFO and all that there. So I had to go in there and pick out all the filler that was in there, and I did that under a magnifier. I had some very old phonograph needles. Yep, from probably 100 years ago, who knows. But they were great. Cleaned it all up really nice, and then I went in and I threw the first coat of paint on it, very, very lightly, and then the second coat, and it was a pretty good match. Built a cabinet for it. The huge cabinets that they require. I found a double-decker, so I cut it in half, and I silver sodded it back together and fit it up really nice. And I painted that wrinkled black. So yeah, there were a little bit of handiwork getting some of the equipment the way you want it. But it does have a great receive on it. I like the IF gain control on there. It's in the tune. I think it was the dial lock or tuning lock spot, but it's definitely a factory authorized type of I guess modification or upgrade. And actually came with a little identification plate for IF gain. So, in any case, I don't know too much as far as history goes on that particular IF gain control. Everybody has their version of it. But R390A this morning, Valiant, and all signals are coming into Rhode Island very nicely. So with that, I'll get it up to Jim. And Pete, you're just bounding in here this morning. I think you're on the 813 rig there. But just a very, very pleasant signal there. WA2IXP. Over to you, Jay.
N1SNG and the group WA2IXP. Oh, very good on all. Excuse me. Hello to Jim. Very good signal. Sounds excellent from Simsbury. And while you all were talking, I looked outside because I'm inside the garage, but there's no windows, so who knows what's going on. So I poked my head out and turned on the light, and just a faint amount of snow coming down. And it's just a lull probably. But it's supposed to stop snowing by like 10 o'clock, be through, apparently. And I guess there's maybe 5-6 inches, I would say. So it doesn't look too awful bad. And then interesting on the receiver, I guess maybe it was made for some special branch or, like an FBI listening post or something like that. You know, who knows? There was, you know, with some of the World War II stuff, the stuff that went to the British, a lot of it was a little different. And, you know, I mean, I've seen pictures and heard people talk on the internet. I've never had or seen one in person. I guess very little of that stuff that went over there came back, so, if any. But I have seen other things like that were, you know, painted red or painted black with, you know, luminescent markings and stuff like that. And kind of like the civil defense versions of a couple of radios. You know, they said CD, they had orange something on them usually. And, you know, they're the same radios, transmitters and receivers. But that made me think of civil defense when I was 16 or 17. I just got my driver's license, and they had a CD group, you know, civil defense, you know, the radio end of it, and we'd meet in the basement of the town hall, and they had a bunch of stuff in there from the 50s, you know, Gonsa. In fact, we still used it. They had Gonsa communicator, and they had the net. We would get on and give it some call sign and talk to a couple of different counties close by on 2-meter AM. Half the time you couldn't hear anybody because the antennas were falling off the buildings and nobody could climb up and fix them. And but as a young man, it was you know, an old boy. it was a thrill, you know. And then they gave us. Somehow they got some money in the budget, and we bought these, I think they were Regency transceivers, and they all came with the crystal for the civil defense frequency, whatever that was. So we all put them in our cars, you know, and we rode around and talked to each other. There was no repeaters back then, and you know, whenever we got in the car, we'd say, "Hey, Bill," you know, I don't even remember if we used call signs. And that was fun, but the CD thing fizzled out. There was a couple of, like, hurricanes and stuff like that, and they would call up and say, we're put into operation, and we'd all go down there, and they'd say, you go out here, you go out there, and, you know, we didn't really do too much, if anything, but it was a good learning experience for me. You know, the spearhead behind it was some older guys that were, you know, heavily involved with that back in the early 60s, where everybody was on edge with the Cuban Missile Crisis and all that stuff. But anyway, I think I'm going to go on into the house and see what the kitty cats are doing and maybe make some bacon and eggs. I'm thinking about that. I have some potatoes left over from last night, so let me turn it over to Jim. Let's see. No, let me turn it over to Pete. And I'm going to listen out here. Good morning to everybody. WA1SOV to take it, WA2IXP.
Yeah, okay, Jay, very good. WA2IXP. This is WA1SOV. Well, if you're taking off, you take care. Great signal here this morning from New Jersey. Very good on all the wildlife discussion before. I fight the varmints here as well. We've had woodchuck problems and skunk problems and mainly woodchuck and skunks in the garden. Real pain in the butt. The skunks mainly because when I tried to trap them with, the Havahart traps, they'll go in him. And then getting them out is always an interesting arrangement. And the woodchucks, though, have gone into it more than once, and I wind up transporting them up to the state forest on the other side of town. When that happens, let's get them out of the neighborhood. Because they are something else. They tunneled up right in the middle of the garden and, oh man, did all kinds of damage in the past. So I'm at the point where I've got to get some new soil in there, or amend the soil with some manure or something. Last time I did that, I screwed up the earth because there were so many seeds. It was horse manure that a friend of mine brought over, but his horses, are grazing in fields where there are lots of seeds on the plants, and that comes through, and you know what the problem is there. But I'm going to look around for some manure that's been aged without the seeds, hopefully. Come March or something, and try to get that garden back up to par. Anyway, the whole varmint thing got me thinking about that. Jim, I think you said you're on the homebrew rig. I'm not sure what the homebrew rig is, but if it's a BC610 that I think Glenn mentioned, you're strong in here, very strong. Great signals all the way around this morning. I'll turn it over to you, Jim. Boy, it's been a while since we've chatted. I just retired at the beginning of the year, so you'll probably hear this pile of junk on the air more often now. WA1UQM and the group WA1SOV.
Well, congratulations on your retirement, Pete. WA1SOV, WA1UQM. So you're joining the ranks of the retirees. Oh, that's good. The more the merrier. I hate people that have to go to work. I was just kidding. I do miss the store. I have coffee every morning, or maybe every other morning, with my buddy Jim. He used to work for us at the package store, and we park in front of Dunkin' Donuts and look at the building and chat for about 45 minutes. We've been doing that all through the pandemic. It seems like I just have to be near the store. And after we sold, I still own the building and still maintain the building. But I do miss the camaraderie and the people and the action, especially around the holidays. Christmas and is really was a whole different thing when you had the store. People were coming and going, and they're buying gifts for Christmas, and it just really got you into the spirit of things, even though it was quite exhausting and a lot of pressure. There was something about it that was unique. Of course, I've been in business all my life as a real estate broker since 1969, and until recently I just gave up my license. I hated to do it, but it was an expense I didn't need. My son's an agent and a builder and a developer, so if I get any leads or anything, I just pass them on to my son and forget about it. It's just time to close that chapter. Although it was difficult to do. It took a lot of effort to earn that broker's license. I had it for many, many years, and and it served me well over time. But some things you just have to say, enough's enough. Don't need the pressure, don't need the obligation, and don't need the liability exposure at the age of 75. But it was not an easy decision. But welcome to retirement. I know it's nice to be able to get up and get on the radio and do whatever you want to do. I never thought I'd spend so much time in the woodworking shop and the radio shop, and I say every day, thank God for my shop. For what I do, especially during the pandemic, without my shop, without my classic car driving out every day, practically, and having these various hobbies, and knowing some people that retire with no hobbies. What a boring situation that must be. Well, Pete, you really are sounding great. I forget what rig you're on, but I'm on the 610 this morning, and the homebrew rig is a single 813 modulated by a pair of 810s built from the ground up. The only thing that it's not homebrew is the 70E8 PTO, and everything was built around that PTO. Pete. Well, we have the homebrew rig pretty much parked on AA75, and then we have the PC610 parked on 160. And very good on the rodents. Well, we've been pretty lucky here. Being right in the center of town, we have our share of deer that come down from the back of the woods in the forest, Belden Forest, and we have some fox and we had some skunks, and I have some turkeys. So they're here, and they don't last too long. I do feed the birds, and that causes a bear problem. But the most aggressive rodent that we have here that really aggravates me is the brown moles, because I try to keep it real handsome looking lawn, and the brown moles can really have it. Matter of fact, just before the fall, they got in front of the tool shed out back and created a pile of loam, and it makes the doors very difficult to open and close on the shed because it's not that high off the ground. But anyway, it could be a lot worse. I remember when we built this home about 13 years ago. A skunk got in the garage. The house was not completed yet, and that was pretty scary. And finally we called the animal control, and they came over, and they had a cage, and he went into the cage, and he put a net over the cage, and he carried it out, and the pieces sprayed, it was covered, and took it away. But it got stuck under the steps, and I don't know how we managed to get under there before they got into a very tight space. I think we caught it before it sprayed over the entire new house. So Glenn, over to you in Rhode Island. Nice signal this morning. And by the way it looks, I took a peek outside again. It looks like probably going to get 6 inches, 6 to 7 inches of nice white looking snow, so it should be relatively easy to snow blow. N1SNG, WA1UQM radio.
All right. WA1 UQM. Yeah, not flying group here. Good signals in here this morning, Jim. And, yeah, everybody has a skunk story. Yeah, I was just telling the guys they had a rabid skunk out in the back. And that became a big issue. Just amazing to see something like that go into a very violent mode of operation. It was, a possum, and just took it apart in the backyard, and I'm like, oh man, I got like a couple hours, I got a family reunion, and I'm like, it was all sprayed out. It didn't spray, but I called animal control, and they came, and they were able to, well, first of all, they had the possum, and they were trying to separate them, and of course the possums, well, passed, and so anyway, it runs underneath the shed, and so animal control was like, okay, how do we get it out of there? Next thing you know, it comes running out, grabs the possum, drags it underneath the shed. In fact, the possum's deceased, and it's under the shed somewhere. Probably just a pile of bones by now, but anyway, they had to end up shooting it. It was just too violent, pretty nasty, and you know, on the shed there's only like a 3-inch gap, and they're like a badger, I guess. They get right in there. So nothing to be messing with. You know, you see one, don't screw with it. Call the guys in from local animal control, and then not gonna have fun with it for sure. Yeah, and that spray there, that I don't think that ever goes away. You know, it's kind of like a bottle of Old Spice, you know, but in a different sense there. And Jim, you know, you mentioned the store. I remember you back in the day there. You know, that was kind of a nice place to you know, meet people and all. And Ronnie, my grandfather, he worked at a hardware store for over 50 years, and he made keys. He had a little key room way in the back. And, he said, you know, the best thing about the job is, he says, I know everybody in the neighborhood, you know, comes in, has their keys made, and just one of them old creaky floor, tile ceiling type of hardware stores. And it was on we called it Ralph Street. And if you lived in that neighborhood and you had a job, you really did need a car because everything was there. The bank, hardware stores, pharmacy. Back and then in the day they had the Rexall drugs or something. You know, you go in the drugstore and there'd be a soda fountain there, and the old big picture windows as you walk by. When you're mentioning your old place there, I'm envisioning that, you know, with the picture windows in the front, and maybe some creaky wooden floors as you walk in. But yeah, well, he did a good tour of duty there, Jim, and it, you know, like I said, it doesn't seem to be too far away. So you know, that so many people have that opportunity to take ownership like that, and put on your son there with building, developing, and all that. It's always nice to have somebody that you know do the work for you. So yeah, kind of a hallmark type of neighborhood where I grew up in. They had a Woolworths. This is a great place. Yep. And they had an ice cream shop. And that's where we went. It wasn't a big deal. Hey, you kids, why don't you go up and get an ice cream? You know, we went to bed 7, 8 years old. You know, nothing to walk up the street and down the main drag. Yeah, a lot of good memories there. But, yep, you have to retire, I guess, eventually. If not, I mean, my grandfather worked till he was 85. Yep, and, you know, it's one of them jobs that, you know, I think he made $3 an hour or something. But he didn't know anybody in Nickel, and kind of a handyman type guy. So anyway, enough of that. And, again, 610 sounded really great there. I looked out the window a little while ago. I think we got about 1.5 or 2 inches of snow. It's not like what they forecast as of yet. I mean, we got a few hours to go. I guess it's supposed to end around 10 o'clock or so. But we'll see. It doesn't matter. I mean, going to remove the snow any which way. But we never really had the the accuracy in forecasting down here. They might forecast 3 inches of snow and you get 8, or 8 and you get 3. But in any case, we got the machine ready if we're going to get out there and use that method, or just go with the little electric one. And the big thing is at the end of the driveway, when that plow comes by, and you've got that big berm there, and just getting through that. So that's where the big machine comes in. Then I got the markers out in the lawn, the little orange sticks. In fact, I went to put them in, and the ground was frozen, so I had to drill holes in the front. Yeah, and those moles, there's vowels too. It's a V, vowel, and they can get into your plants, your hostas and things. But yeah, we have them here, and it's amazing the subterranean life forms. I remember one year we had a lot of snow, and then in the spring when the snow started melting, around all the bird feeders, there were these, it looked like the canals on Mars, and it was just where there was the moles or voles tunneled underneath the snow and left the little paths there. So yeah, they'll find a way. Definitely find a way, but they can be destructive, I guess, depending on where you live, and how bad the infestations are. And let me see. Other than that, signals are holding up quite well. And we'll pass it over to Pete. And we're on all the agricultural and wildlife stories here this morning. But maybe that SOV, I wanted to finish it.
Yeah, okay, Glenn. N1SNG in the group W81SOV. And, I'm hearing those guys in the Midwest down frequency. So the band is doing its usual thing around daybreak.